スター逃げろ。誰でも音できる、誰でもスピード稼げる、ガバナンスまである。超集権のメディアはもう終わりだ。
真相から立ち上るインクと真実がぶつかる。レバヤさんニュース開かれ海嘘はない。読んで書いて氷結しろ。力はみんなのもの。イカスミをたたえろ。ニュースは君のものだ。レバヤさんニュース。レバヤさんニュース。
Hello everyone, what's up? Leviathan News, the advisor here. It's a Wednesday, February 11th, and I'm actually very excited to be here with you guys, and for the first time to have on Leuts from Aragon to tell us all about it. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me on. Really excited to chat. We have some great updates. There's a lot going on in the ecosystem and market as well. So yeah, let's do it.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're very busy, but hopefully we can get some stuff out there for our community for as long as we have you, as they say. Let me just present our weekly SQUID Pass winners, actually. Oak Research. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but we have this auction system where we auction our pinned posts on Leviathan News, Telegram, and X. And actually, the winners this week are Oak Research. Let me just pop it on the screen for a second. Shout out, guys. Thank you so much for choosing Leviathan News. This is the pinned post. The report about crypto in 2026. You can find them on oak_res_en and at oakresearch.io. Go check them out, check their work. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring Leviathan News and the SQUID and holding the SQUID Pass and winning the auction this week. Much respect. And okay, I usually have some other stuff that I want to present, but I know that you're very busy today, so I want to get right into it, to be honest. Lutz, first of all, tell us, what is Aragon? Like, just for those who are not familiar with it, and give us like the proper intro of what is Aragon, what does it solve, who is it for, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for having me on. So Aragon actually is an OG 27 project. And really back in the day, it was more focused, you could say, around creating on-chain governance. That hasn't changed. That's still a big mission of ours. But now we work more, we have a more modular framework, you could say, where we allow for programmable ownership. This is obviously a new paradigm with blockchain, right? Like you can now have execution of on-chain payloads without an intermediary. And that's not just moving funds, that's upgrading code, etc. So
I think we lost him for a minute, but I should be back.
You're back.
You're back?
Yep.
Apologize. Go ahead.
No worries. So yeah, what is Aragon? 2017 OG project focusing really on on-chain governance. As I just mentioned, like, ownership is one of the core functionalities that the blockchain brings without intermediaries. And that's not just for moving funds or trading, right? Or depositing or lending or borrowing. This is also for upgrading code, making decisions, anything that is an on-chain payload that executes on-chain. Well, there's governance or ownership around the decision to do X, Y, or Z, right? So we provide like modular access control or programmable ownership, we say, so that projects can really design and define how they want to manage either their assets or their code upgrades. And then as well as we integrate that with tokenomics. So you'll see the VE gauge mechanisms that have been built on Aragon, such as Curve, yield basis, aerodrome. These are all tokenomic driven governance setups that really try and drive growth to the network. So tokens are a very powerful tool, and in Aragon we provide a lot of the services you'll see in a lot of the infrastructure around tokenomics and governance and capital distribution. And our clients are ranged from Lido through Curve to Tyco, and we have over 35 billion in total value secured. So we've been around for some time and are looking forward to the next 10 years of the crypto industry.
That's actually so cool. So basically you say that, because when I think about it, and apologize for not knowing any better, like I always imagine to myself that, okay, a protocol has like whatever tokenomics that they choose, and they probably just independently do it and use it and do their own governance. But actually now you're explaining that you guys provide the infrastructure, or whatever the proper way to describe it is, that on top, projects like Lido, Curve, and some of the others that you've mentioned actually do their governance and have their like tokens on? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, exactly. So when, it's an access control system or permission management system. So when when Lido wants to upgrade its code, these are on Aragon contracts, for example. When Curve, their VE gauge system, when voters are voting to distribute incentives, this is on Aragon code base. The same goes for Katana, a newer project, for example. Their entire VE gauge mechanism, where voters vote to distribute incentives, this is on an Aragon built system. So basically, it's the underlying permission management system that allows for all of this to happen, which is great. And then of course, how things move forward after that, such as the distribution of the capital that or the code base, we do that too. So we have a Merkle distributor. We can do it fully on chain. So we allow for this sort of these value accrual mechanisms to really try and make tokens better at the end of the day, because right now tokens are not a very good investable asset class, and we're trying to solve that.
That's actually an interesting point, which I would want us to get into just in a few minutes, so hold that thought. But before that, if you can maybe explain to me and maybe some others who are wondering as well, why does, what makes these projects actually choose Aragon as the infrastructure on which these system like the VE gauges is built on? Why don't they build stuff themselves and use it? Why do they actually choose and use Aragon?
Yeah, predominantly because we're the most battle tested, one of the most battle tested teams and tech stacks in the entire industry, full stop. Dating back to 2017. So they know when they use Aragon contracts, there's multiple things that are happening, whether it be access control, whether it be capital distribution. They're getting a battle tested code base with billions of dollars in TVL that have run through it. They save a lot of money and time in building and designing a system again by themselves and having to audit it. And then we provide a lot of services, so then they get to work with us. So they're on the cutting edge. So if you want to, you're not gonna have a whole team of people just doing research on VE gauge systems. That's what we do. So when you work with us, you're getting the best from all the projects that build on top of us. You get the best services. We provide, security as a service, so we're in the Spark and Tyco Security Council. So you really get as much as you want. You can just take it and run with it. It's all open source, or you can work with us to get the best news, the best information, the best support, and the best security.
That's a pretty proper way to put it. Thank you so much for explaining. Let's get back to what you just said a minute ago about tokens. Why are actually tokens, in your opinion, not that investable nowadays? and what can be done differently, and like maybe how does Aragon fit into all of that?
Yeah, totally. So, look, tokens are sort of the bloodline or blood life of the industry. They are a way to fundraise, generate capital. They are a way to decentralize networks, which is it's a security thing, and it's dangerous when tokens lose their value because it means that teams, protocols have less resources to use, less security often. And so it's a huge problem. So we started working more in tokenomics the last 2 years, predominantly because we found this to be like a huge issue. The issue predominantly arises from the fact these tokens have no value. Some do, most don't. The reason most don't is token holders have no claim on any value, right? This goes back to regulations in the United States, which really didn't allow for tokens to have a claim. Now, projects found ways around that through VE gauge mechanisms. Like VE tokenomics was one methodology to properly decentralize and give tokens actual ownership over capital flows and all these assets on chain. But it became less and less popular until recently. It's become, again, very popular, but it became less popular. And so 99% of tokens out there, when you purchase them, you have no legal rights, of course, and you have no on-chain rights. The token holds no value. It doesn't upgrade anything. It doesn't control anything. It doesn't control assets. And often there are misaligned incentives, right? Where the team has equity, and they've also launched a token, and they drive value to the equity rather than the token. So really, as an investor, you're here trying to buy tokens, in a project you might be excited about, and then you realize that, the token is valueless because it has no claim over value accrual or anything of importance to make the token valuable. So we obviously work with projects to make their tokens valuable by giving ownership rights. And this is very customizable, right? It doesn't have to be giving away ownership rights over a protocol upgrade from day one. It can be done very sensibly. But also then we decided we need to bring more transparency to this. And so we last week launched our ownership token framework. Behind the scenes, we got some really great feedback from liquid funds and from, A16Z Miles Jennings, who is, leading the network token, similar to what we call ownership tokens at Aragon, sort of a classification and really the regulations that are coming in the US. And you can see things changing now, like Uniswap is unifying around their token, right? They have a new legal wrapper called Aduna. Morpho, for example, has no labs team or equity. The team are in the association. There's one token. So you're starting to see a fundamental shift in the industry towards the token actually having value. That means the right incentive alignment. And in some cases it will mean, and probably legally soon, it will mean on-chain rights are owned by token holders. And this is what we bring to light in this framework and dashboard, where we actually showcase very specifically and break down different tokens, what permissions they have, so meaning what control they have, and what incentives there are off-chain or on-chain to making the token valuable. And I can even, if you want, I can even share screen and show you. But yeah, so like that's what we launched, and there's a lot of excitement around it because it's an existential problem right now in the industry.
Yeah, let's definitely, if you can show us some stuff on screen, I'm definitely into it. I think it's very useful for...
yeah, let's do it then.
It's also useful for me, but just
Can
a second,
you-
let me approve it, yeah?
Yeah, so let's take a look. So we launched with our first 5 tokens. So here is the actual framework. If you click on it, you can click on the framework and it goes to like a very detailed breakdown of what each component means, what we're tracking, what we're looking at. You could almost call it like the L2 beat for tokens, maybe, if people are more aware of L2 beat.
It's a cool way to describe it. By the way, where can people find this website? Where are you now? What address is it?
It's on our front page on Twitter. You can also go on otf.aragon.org. That's otf.aragon.org, ownership token framework. And yeah, like here you'll see how it's broken down. And we actually, not many people know this. This is really built for investors and liquid funds to actually do proper due diligence on a token. But
what does that mean, liquid funds? Apologize, Lutz. What does that mean?
Liquid fund is just a big investor. It's a fund run by professionals that actually buy tokens at large. So BlackRock is much more than that, but they just bought Uni token, which was huge news today. And I assure you, they would not have done that had Uniswap not put such great care into adjusting, their governance and their DUNA and the unification around their token. And so tokens want this, like projects want these tokens to be bought by liquid funds because they hold a lot of money, right? These are big institutions buying tokens.
No, like I think that with Uniswap, it was always like maybe the biggest meme out there about tokens, about like a useless governance token, like valueless governance token. It's kind of like what the term was invented upon. So I'm actually very curious, maybe if we can take, maybe you can take us through the example of Uni.
Sure.
Okay, what kind of changes do they have they done?
So Uni, similar to Aave, did have pretty strong on-chain governance already, meaning the protocol, the fee switch, a lot of these things were actually governed on-chain, unlike 99% of other projects. Where Uni and Aave struggled previously, and there are arguments around regulations and stuff, was really on the off-chain aspect down here, which I'll talk about in a minute, off-chain dependencies. And I think Uniswap's done a ton of work in here, I know they have, in making sure these dependencies don't impact the token in a negative way. So they've adjusted to try and unify things around the token, right? But that's not done yet, of course, right? They're in process of that. So if we look at Uniswap as an example, or Uni, sorry, not Uniswap, you can see here that the first metric is on-chain control, right? That Uni holders maintain ultimate control through on-chain voting. That's what they do. You can see here the token is immutable. We give like a little summary of the important components here, right? And then we break down more deeply what this means. But at the end of the day, on-chain control means that, does the token have on-chain control over important assets that are on-chain? So whether that be protocol upgrade authority, here you can see that the protocol contracts, V2, V3, V4, time lock, are non-upgradable, which is interesting. That means that obviously the team, for example, can't upgrade them. The token holders can't, but that's obviously good. But their governor is upgradable, controlled by time lock. And here we break down and give you links to GitHub, to Etherscan contracts. And really, we do the validation for you as a token buyer or holder, that you're confident, and we provide the evidence that this is in fact true, right? There's token upgrade authority. Now, this is super important, right? Like, a token might have control over the protocol that it's associated with, its native protocol. But what if there are high risks around the token itself, where new tokens could be minted, which could decrease the value of the tokens that a holder holds? So in this case, the token, is immutable with no proxy patterns, no delegate call, etc. So we give that a check mark and we provide information here, right? So we really go into a lot of painstaking detail in the on-chain control, and Uniswap is a great example of a project where like that on-chain control really is either immutable or owned by token holders. And this gives token holders, validation that if they were to purchase the Uni token, or if they hold it, that nothing nefarious could happen without them being involved, which is great. The next, of course, is value accrual is metric 2. Now, this is actually how value is driven to the token itself. It's one thing to be able to control the protocol, the token, etc. But then, can value accrue to the token? And here we show that token holders have control over a fee switch, for example, where a fee could be implemented and send funds directly to buybacks or to holders, etc. Here you can see treasury. Does the Uni token control the treasury? The answer is yes. So these are the types of things that you're looking for. Together, you now have clear on-chain ownership. You have clear on-chain ownership over value accrual. So you know that either currently or in the future, that token could be worth more because of the success of what happens up here. Any questions before I keep moving on?
Man, I have too many questions. It's too cool. Like I haven't realized like how cool this kind of stuff is.
It's super important.
I think that you putting it, like describing it as the L2 bit of tokens, like for me personally, it really automatically really assisted me in understanding what you guys do, especially now when you take us through it. So thank you so much for it. And wow, man, this is an extremely useful tool for any kind of investor, to be honest, whether it's a huge one or like the tiniest one, to really know, like when they buy or hold a specific token, what do they actually get? Like this is an incredible tool to actually know what you actually get when you hold an XYZ token.
Yeah, I mean, it's critical. I mean, in the normal world, you know that you have legal rights. In our world, you know that you don't. So, so it's super important, and you should. I mean, we always say, I mean, do your own research, right? We're giving you the tool to do that research without being a developer, for example. And so it's very important. Like, big funds don't just buy billions of dollars worth of assets. They do due diligence, and everybody should be doing some due diligence, and we've made it easy here. And of course, this is V1, so it's going to continue to improve, become more readable, etc. But here, let's finish off. You can see metric 3 is quite clear. It's verifiability. This is that everything's open source, that you can actually verify everything. That's, pretty good there. Obviously, Uniswap's perfect. And then token distribution is also quite important. This becomes quite challenging, to be frank with you. This is, really showcasing how much concentration there is, if there are future token unlocks, and we'll eventually go deeper in terms of inflation, etc. But here you can see that, obviously Uniswap's much older, but there are no future unlocks of tokens. So like that, really all the tokens are out there. Which is a good thing typically. And then ownership concentration, we haven't verified. We'll eventually get around to this, but this becomes very challenging because it's very hard to verify who holds how many tokens. Often people distribute tokens amongst different wallet addresses, and this becomes really challenging. But the interesting thing about token distribution, even from a safety and security perspective, it's important because if the token has control over everything on chain, that's good and great for token holders. But if somebody holds 70% of the tokens, then they can do whatever they want at the end of the day, right? So we have to be careful about token distribution and future unlocks. And something that we don't really market here, but this entire setup here, the whole framework, all these metrics are mirrored back to the market structure bill. So these are actually mirrored to what is going into the Clarity Act and the Market Structure Act in the United States, market structure bill, and what they're looking at, what regulators will be looking at as well when they determine, if a token is following the correct policies, regulations, etc. So we've actually mirrored that here. We're not selling that as a feature, but it is a huge feature. So projects can even use this as a way to determine if they're meeting the requirements that probably is going to be a requirement in the United States without them being classified as a security. And that's why that's here. And then finally, off-chain dependencies, very challenging and super important to take a look at. I think the more, obviously Uniswap's doing tons of work on that right now. And once that's all updated, we will update it. But I think the key one to look at here is Aave, right? Aave, look at this, great on-chain accountability. Everything is owned by token holders when it comes to on-chain, very verifiable. But we do know from just before Christmas, there was a lot of drama, and I know Aave's working on it. They're a great team, or the Aave Labs team. But there was drama around who owned the IP, the front end, these types of things. And it's, we make it clear here that, we don't make recommendations, but we do say is, okay, look, the owner is a labs team, right? The labs team, not a foundation, not an association that is connected to the token. And that typically would mean that there is equity out there. And this could create a misaligned incentive, right? Where eventually, if a team doesn't have many tokens, if the token's been out for so long, but they have equity, it's in their best interest for the equity to accrue value because that's how they're going to become wealthy, right? So I know Aave came out and said they're going to be working on this. Obviously, we all hope so. I have held Aave for a long, long time, and we want to make sure that all the value goes to the token. And that's what's going to make tokens valuable. And that's what's going to make them an investable asset class. So removing these off-chain dependencies that create misaligned incentives is crucially important. And although Aave will have to work on theirs, obviously, a team like Lido is just green across the board, right, when it comes to this. So they don't have, competing equity. They use a Borg system to keep the incentives aligned. And it's really all focused around the token itself. And that's really important. So Lido is a great case of this being, top dog. And here's an example actually where they have not turned on their value accrual. Is it active? But that is actually in their forum right now. As the largest delegate, I can tell you that's something they're working on. So yeah, that's how it is. That's the framework and dashboard. We're going to be adding new tokens weekly. You can go up here and submit a token or any feedback if you are an investor and you don't understand something. And our next goal is also to make this easier to read more quickly. But we want to be careful that we do it really, really well.
There was such a great breakdown of things and what you guys do, and I knew it was going to be interesting, but I don't think I've realized how much and how useful this tool that you've built is for so many different actors within the industry. I think that's one of the things I find most impressive. Really, like the versatility of you guys actually bring transparency in a very deep way to the token niche, and really I think that anyone in the space can find it very useful. So big shout out to you and the team. First of all, I think that's extremely cool. I'm actually thinking about a lot of if I seem distracted, it's because I think about so many angles that we ourselves, with Leviathan News, about 10 months ago or so, maybe even almost a year, we've inaugurated SQUID DAO as the ruling entity of Leviathan News. Okay, and we actually have these votes where we also distribute monthly votes, and we kind of started acting as the first steps of a DAO, trying to actually function as such. And we just vote on snapshot with stuff with our own token, SQUID. And this really, I think now, while we're considering the tokenomics 2.0 and how we actually want to take it to the next level, this is such a useful tool to really know all the kind of stuff that we should take into consideration and how to actually do it. So I'm actually very curious about what you've built there. How does how do you guys actually earn, by the way? What's the business model of Aragon? What is required from the tokens or projects that are working with you? And how, by the way, how does the token get to be even if you submit a token, I'm sure that you guys don't have time to research every token that's going to be submitted there. So how will you guys approve stuff? But mostly I'm curious about how does the team start working with you guys, and what are the costs? How exactly does that work?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's interested in tokenomics, on-chain ownership, wanting, their investors, let's be honest, or the people who buy the token to actually have hard power over certain decisions. There's multiple ways. I mean, we have an application built on top of our protocol. You can go in no code and set up the ownership however you want, choosing certain permissions, that, only a few things you may want to give away. Layer 0 is a great example. I was at their event yesterday, which we can talk about. And they're a great example where the only governance that token holders are involved in is on-chain binding execution, which is how it should be, in my opinion. And it's only over one parameter. It's the fee switch. So they have basically every 6 months, their fee switch automatically turns on. It's a dynamic quorum, so the quorum decreases each time that it fails every 6 months, and token holders can go vote to actually turn on the fee switch, and they have full control and power over that. And for me, this is a wonderful example of the fact you don't need to have, and I've been advocating for this years, for token holders to vote on everything. You don't need a referendum for every decision. It can be over very specific parameters that are very important that make the token valuable. Such as a fee switch, right? And so you can do that no code in our application, or you can just reach out and we're happy to help. Sometimes customization might be required, and we have a services team, literally that's how we generate revenue, who build custom implementations. So for Katana and for Yield Basis, both, very prominent projects, we're behind the scenes building their UI, building the smart contracts, the staker or the gauge mechanisms, and then using our distribution contracts to make sure everybody gets their money. And so we take a fee off of that, and we charge up front for any like custom development work. So that's how we make our money. The first thing I did coming in to Aragon was start to say, let's become sustainable. And so we started to generate revenue, and we're quite close to sustainable, which is great. As for the ownership token index, I think that it's not something we're charging or planning on making money off of. It's so critical for tokens to become valuable and become an investable asset class in our industry. And if they don't, we're literally all going to zero. So that's something that we want to tackle ourselves and try and do it in a meaningful way. And so we'll focus on probably tokens with a minimum market cap of, let's say, 50 million. Let's start from there, and work our way through the most important tokens. And if people have requests that we think are cool, and different use cases, maybe of on-chain ownership or off-chain dependencies, then we'll focus on those as well. And we're going to get some tokens up soon that are not doing a great job at this right now. Luckily, the first 5 are some of the best. And our goal is not to alienate anybody. It's to give investors, token holders, and buyers the tools they need to be successful, and when they make their decisions. And for projects, they're going to realize quickly that the tokens that are the most investable will be the ones that people and smart money invests in. And that means, hopefully for us, that they come to us for support in making their tokens actually valuable, making them an investable asset. And that's what we do. And that's where we'll help them out and generate our revenue. And hopefully they'll make a lot of money off that too.
Man, that is so cool. Really. I knew I would enjoy this episode, but I'm enjoying it a lot more than I actually even thought, because this is such a on the point and clear tool. I'm sure that there's so much I still need to understand and explore, but not always when I learn about this new tool out there, I think that it can be this useful and for so many different types of viewers. I don't know if you've seen this comment by Johnny. Johnny is actually a great dev. He's actually building a lending protocol right now, Flex Meow. Shout out Flex. He's also part of the Yarn DAO, which I actually think is also a very good example of a functioning DAO that actually does stuff as a DAO. Johnny, and by the way, Johnny is also a Leviathan News contributor, so definitely I would want to maybe do a connection there at some point. I think it can be useful for Johnny on multiple levels. Johnny, I hope that the recent answer by Leuts was good enough for you and that you've understood. If not, of course, you can rewatch the episode, and if not, of course, I will also try to connect there. By the way, thank you, Lutz. By the way, what about Aragon itself? Does Aragon also gonna have a token? Do you also go the route of where you're taking the entire industry?
Well, I mean, we used to have a token a long time ago, which was very interesting. And Aragon failed to bring a value accrual to that token, and then decided to basically drop the token and gave back the initial investment from investors, which luckily was much higher because it was from 2017 to 2023, I think, when the old board decided to deprecate the token. So Aragon would, I think, consider launching a token again if it made sense. And right now it doesn't. Our permission management system doesn't require token holders to vote on anything to decentralize, because once we still call them DAOs, but once a DAO is launched, or from the Aragon protocol, it's completely autonomous, right? The actual, then the token holders or whomever launched it, whatever governance they've set up, they have full control. So there's not really much risk to us not being fully decentralized on our protocol, because it's relatively immutable when these DAOs are launched, right? We lose control. It's great. We lose control. And that's typically where you want to start in this industry, right? You want to start, if you can, being either immutable or not having control. If you don't have control, you can't do something wrong. You can't make mistakes that would impact people's finances, etc. So that's usually where you want to start. Sometimes, due to wanting to upgrade things, a lot of projects do have a lot of control, and that's when you probably want to consider decentralizing to create another level of safety. So for us, the day that we have a protocol which can have network effects, which ours does not, and value accrual on those network effects, that's the perfect time you'd consider launching a token. But Aragon's had its own token history, and not something we'll be touching soon.
I actually think that this is a great way of leading by example, what you've just shared, because when you need a token, you need one, and like when it's useful and it can provide value to both sides, team and investors or users, then it should be there. But when it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, it shouldn't be like something that just extracts value, but rather actually provide value, whether it's actual value from like revenue generating or government power or a participation mechanism or whatever. So I actually think that eliminating a token is also a great way to lead by example with what you guys have with the task that you guys have taken upon yourselves. So actually like that, enjoyed that answer a lot. Lutz, I know that you have a lot of stuff to do, and I don't want to keep you longer than you should. So thank you for coming. First of all, would really like to chat with you about some all kinds of stuff now after this talk. Would really want you back on the show whenever you have some proper updates that you want to share and keep us informed. And anything else that I should have asked and haven't? Anything else that you want to share if you still have a minute?
No, I just think that it's great that you guys are sharing these types of news with the industry. There's some very critical pain points in our industry that need to be rectified. Tokens are one of them. Token prices continue to go down. There's a reason for that. But at the same time, even though they're going down, there's great things being built. The Layer Zero, that's why I'm in New York right now. I was at the Layer Zero event yesterday.
Yes.
It was a very inspiring, hopeful event. And I don't even think it was really about the great technology that they were bringing forward. It was just about the fact that the traditional market is really looking deeply into our industry, and that means that we're sort of hitting that next stage, that next level of adoption, and everybody wants to be relevant, and everybody wants to their products and their companies to bring value to the world, and we're on the cusp of doing that. Let's just make sure that obviously as we do that we accrue value where it should be accrued, and we do our best to be honest and do a great job. So that's what we're here to do, and it's been great to be on your program, and hope people reach out. Anybody can reach out if they want to learn more about Aragon, if they want to build their growth flywheels, their ownership, on-chain ownership, or distribute incentives. Like, that's what we do. And if you have questions about the token ownership index, let us know.
I definitely think they should. I know that ever since I've discovered your account, I think it was about a month or two ago, you consistently have great takes about a lot of stuff. So for me, it was like a very easy decision to make and a very easy choice. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. I definitely think that even for those who aren't launching any tokens or whatever, it's a very useful account to follow. Just find Leuts.eth. I won't even try to tell you how it's written, the X account itself, but if you write Leuts.eth, you will find him on X, and of course you can find the guys at Aragon.org. And by the way, does this mean that, and man, the amount of announcements coming out of Layer Zero yesterday was really astounding. I was like, it was like every second post that I've seen on X. was something new about layer 0, whether it's Cathy Wood and Ark Invest and the Tether announcement and the Zero announcement and the World Computer. I just couldn't keep up, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that, by the way, just to wrap it up, does it mean that we're going to see a ZRO soon on the OTF panel there?
Let's find out. We're close partners with Layer 0. We built the first cross-chain voting probably 3 years ago now on Layer 0. Our spin out of Aragon called Generic also uses Layer 0.
I think we lost him. Maybe he's back. Just a second. Okay, we lost you for a minute, but you're back now.
Hotel Wi-Fi. So yeah, we're very close with the team. So with this new chain that they're deploying, that it typically needs governance. It's very challenging for a chain to have zero governance, and they are pushing this chain as being very decentralized and fast. Those were the two things they focused on, and that's what Aragon does. So let's see if they'll be on Aragon when they deploy.
Definitely interesting, but I actually even meant to just as a great tool to evaluate ZRO, especially now when it's the talk of the town.
It's a good point. Go submit it, but I'll remember. Don't waste your time. I'll put it on our list. I think the next ones are let's give some alpha here. The next ones are going to be, I think, Sky, which is another great example of a great ownership token, actually. So Sky will be the next one that'll go up probably this week. And I think yield basis will come up this week as well.
Nice.
Another great example. And then after that, we might go put up a couple ones that are not quite as amazing. And then we'll keep going from there.
At Leviathan News, we're kind of curve maxis, most of the contributors. So we definitely always enjoy seeing projects from there. I'm actually quite curious what you will think about the tokens like CVX and maybe the new Wi-Fi, like with ST Wi-Fi now in Yarn is doing it. But we'll just keep refreshing and trying to submit some tokens. And then, like, after someone submits the tokens, the team at Aragon just reviews it, like, whenever they see fit?
So, I mean, we would love people to submit it with all the work done, but that's probably unlikely. But so what we typically do is you submit a token that you want up there. We'll add it to our list. When we get to it, we'll deploy it, obviously, onto the dashboard. We like to reach out to the team if we can, to have them review everything. They don't have to. All those teams except for Aave Labs decided to review it. And everything was already confirmed and correct, and they had suggestions. We like the feedback. And so we like to reach out to them to let them know and to let them to see it. So that's what we typically do, which does extend the process probably by about a week, as you can imagine. But we like to do that. And eventually we probably may not, but for now we're going to keep doing that. So yeah, submit a token, we'll take care of the rest.
Thank you so much, Lutz, for joining. Really enjoyed this talk. Looking forward to talking to you again on the show and after the show about some stuff that I'll probably want to ask you regarding both SQUID and maybe some other projects. And talk to you soon, man. Feel free to drop off. I will just do some other small stuff that I want to present to the audience, but I don't want to keep you any longer. Much respect for coming, sir. Appreciate it. Enjoy your time over there in New York.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Bye. Man, that was fun, actually. I really enjoyed having Lutz on. The one thing I do want to show everyone before we wrap up, maybe two things, actually. First of all, let me try and show you the new article by one of our contributors, Alice Rosengarten, aka Rosengarten_eth. So Alice actually wrote this gray paper, pre-shooting Polaris white paper. I think maybe even 2 weeks ago, maybe most of it. I don't know how many updates she's done that far, but very early on, once Polaris was introduced, she actually tried concluding about what's it going to be built like, and like having all these kind of assumption. And she's one of the most amazing thinkers and people that can actually do this kind of stuff. So I definitely recommend you go to the Leviathan News X account and look for the gray paper, pre-shooting Polaris white paper, and check out what Alice has done. Quite an interesting piece. And of course, the Polaris community, shout out to you guys as well, and let us know what you think about this great article by Alice. Leave her a comment, give us some likes, give us some shares. Appreciate it a lot, and thank you so much, Alice, for contributing your time and publishing your work on Leviathan News, choosing to do it on Leviathan News. Look at that great pic. Let me just, before I move on to the next topic, this pic is also so funny to think of Alice walking over there. Always looks like I don't even know, that avatar of hers like always looks so angry and annoyed. It's always funny to me. Shout out Alice, much respect. Let's give even another shout out to Oak Research, actually winners of the SQUID Pass. Let me pop it up here. oakresearch.io. Crypto in 2026, the year of change. Thank you so much, guys, for choosing Leviathan News. They have their report up for even a physical edition. Now I'm seeing for $69.90. That's actually very cool. Get your own physical edition of the Oak Research report and go through their website. A lot of information over there and a lot of interesting offers. And I actually think it's a very interesting choice. I'm pretty sure it's Paulo over there, like in the big picture. Paulo, Trump, Michael Saylor, Jerome Powell, a lot of Laura Shin, CZ. I'm pretty sure this is Shane, but maybe I'm confused. A very interesting cover as well. Shout out Castle Labs, shout out Oak Research, and Haze Flow. Thank you so much, guys, for winning the auction and choosing Leviathan News for publishing your work and advertising it. We're going to have some sales coming up on leviathannews.xyz soon, hopefully, and in a few days, the next week's SQUID Pass auction will begin as well, but hopefully I will at some point deliver on what I've told Curvecap and the guys that I will upload at least one or two more auctions for you guys to consider. And one final thing that I want to present is that actually we now have the February SQUID drop covering January. Let me also put this up on the screen. So as you know, every month, the Leviathan News community, the SQUID holders and the peers, until we do a new tokenomics, guys, big alpha on the way, we have our monthly vote where we vote on how to distribute the newly minted SQUID tokens, points, whatever you want to call them. You can go on Snapshot and on SQUID DAO. If you want, you can just go to our website, by the way. Let me show it to you guys, leviathannews.xyz. And then you go to the DAO tab over here. You just go to the DAO tab, and it will take you straight to the SQUID DAO page on Snapshot. and there you will be able to see the current open ones. 5 days left. Already 3 people have voted. Shout out to you guys. Much respect for being early. And as you can see, there are different types of categories where you can choose on the where you want the new every month 1 million squid is emitted to for contributions. You can give it. You can divide it between the news department, the devs, moderation, auction, DAO for people that just want to vote for themselves right now for voting, social, the different shows, my show, Vibe Building with Johnny, Llama Party by Curve Cap. We haven't had any articles last month, so the category doesn't exist this month. But the special category that is here, and I definitely want the voters to consider voting, is the video by Arcus. As you guys know, maybe I will also pop this on screen as well. Just a second. Shout out Arcus, the llama, the very talented llama that's been doing a lot of interesting video stuff. I saw him do some stuff for Regnomorum. That's what made me approach him and told him that maybe he wants to play our game, and he did, thankfully for us, and he made us this amazing intro video, which I will also put as an outro, and we want to reward him for this very original contribution, just like we want to invite every one of you that has anything, that any kind of skill or talent or like thing that he wants to do for Leviathan News and SQUID DAO and contribute. We want these contributions and we want to reward you for them. So this contribution is definitely already eligible for a vote. He also has done some amazing new video, like an amazing new video recently for resupply, so definitely go check at on his X account, Arcus, Arqus. Check out this new video of almost 4 minutes for resupply. He's actually done an amazing job. I actually saw that he got some grant, I think. I don't know if it was for that or some other stuff that he's done for Convex. I'm pretty sure that on the recent Convex has these like grants for contributors recently, and I'm pretty sure I saw that they've voted for him as well and gave him some, I don't know if it was even a CVX or resupply or RSUP, but definitely well earned. This is a great video. I was amazed when I saw it. So shout out Arcos. Shout out to all of you guys for being a part of SQUID DAO, taking us to the next level. We really appreciate everyone's participation. Get out there and vote. If you want, you can go and check my own account, actually. Let me just show you that as well. And on my own account, I've actually pinned my contributions this month. On January, I mean. Had 4 streams, very interesting one with Alex Papko. Shout out to Alexander Papkov, the geopolitical analyst, with the Captain Rational, with the Trustless Force, with the first ever public appearance, Michael Svoboda from Liquidity, Cyril from Protocol FX. By the way, the guys have today delivered their booster rewards. So if you're a booster over there, go check if you've gotten something. If you've done anything, you surely have. So shout out Protocol FX and Aladdin DAO as well. Martin was on the stream as well from Curve. And we also had the first ever appearance of Polaris. Shout out Token Bryce and 0x LUUDE, Robert from Polaris. Was really fun to have these guys on as well, and I've also wasted some stuff and added the streams there. You can check my pinned post if you want to check it out, but really go and vote for all the different contributions at SQUID DAO, whether it's the different categories, the news, the devs, the auctions, all the others, all the shows. Shout out Llama Party, shout out Vibe Building, and of course, shout out Arcos. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Of course, give us a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's take it to 2,000 people already. Subscribe to X. Let's take it to 10,000 people already, and follow us on Telegram, our biggest outlet as well. Join the channel over there. Join the Squid Cave, by the way, which we hope to bring a lot of discussions there as well. And thank you very much, Leuts.eth from Aragon, for joining the show today. Really enjoyed this talk, actually, and I think we have a lot of interesting stuff that I'd want to talk to him about. And just before we wrap it up, let's just send you guys off with the Arcos video again as an outro this time. Shout out again for this amazing piece. And thank you all for tuning in, guys. See you tomorrow soon, hopefully. Bye.
それはレバヤさんニュースだ。デセットライズと逃げろ。誰でも音できる、誰でもスキルを稼げる、ガバナンスまである。中集権のメディアはもう終わりだ。
真相から立ち上るインクと真実がぶつかる。レバヤさんに